SGA having to work for it, little up and under, and then use the long stride. Pretty play. Giddey keeps it himself and takes it up as he glides with the finger roll.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the uncontested postgame show, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and DailyThunder.com. I'm your host for the night, JD Silva, here to discuss the Thunder's 110-108 loss to the Miami Heat. The Silva curse lives on. Before I get started and introduce my co-host, be sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating if you haven't done so already. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Taylor, how's it going? Feels good. Feels good to hear. Oh boy, fun one to talk about tonight at least, even if it was
I was going to say, so I gave you a little bit of a hard time in the first half, because
bad.
it was not looking good, as we will absolutely get into, but it ended up being a very fun game. And even though the Thunder got the L, still a lot of fun stuff to talk about, Silva. So I'm excited to join you here and break down a fun one.
Let's go through the starting lineup for tonight. Different one than we've seen so far. It was SGA, Dort, Giddey, J-Dub. It's all sounding good. And then Darius Bazley in at the 5.
That was a little bit of a surprise.
It was. No Jimmy Butler for the Heat tonight. So you come in thinking, oh, this is a winnable game. And then the first quarter happened. We'll get to that here in just a second. Some big takeaways right out of the gate. I think some questions are starting to be answered about the SGA-Giddey duo. I'm feeling better about it. Another big takeaway. I really like Jalen Williams, J-Dub, running the bench unit. I think it looks really good. And my final takeaway, we're starting to see a whole hell of a lot more of Isaiah Joe and a little bit less and less of Tre Mann. Really curious to see where that trend goes. Let's break this game down step by step really quickly, and then we'll get into our personal analysis. So right out of the gate, offense looked easy for OKC. It also looked way too easy for the Heat. First quarter ends 31-31. I have a note in here. Who the hell is Haywood Highsmith? SGA
I couldn't tell you, to be completely honest.
I don't know. SGA and Giddey looking really good. Their two-man game. Quarter 2 rolls around, and all hell breaks loose for the Heat. They, at this point in the game, are 10 of 18 on threes. The Thunder are 2 of 4 on threes. That trend will continue because the second quarter starts. The Heat go on a 17-2 run. At that point, I'm realizing that the Silva curse is alive and well. Tyler Hero tallies 20 points in the first quarter and a half. Oladipo hits a step-back 3, and I know things are looking really bad. It makes me think of this sounder.
And that dude put a sock in my mouth tonight. Great for him.
Shout out to Jake.
Incredible.
The Heat played zone defense, and it just ruined everything the Thunder were trying to do. Their offense looked really bad. At the half, the Heat had hit 16 out of 29 threes.
Insane.
Yeah.
Silva, I was listening to the broadcast. I know sometimes you're listening to the, for example, the Mavericks game. You were saying you were listening to the that was Nick. But regardless, apparently that was a season high for made 3.5 in the NBA this season.
And of course it happened against OKC. Of course.
Exactly.
So yeah, really, really rough. OKC, so 16 of 29 for Miami at the half from 3. OKC 5 of 14. In the middle of this ass kicking, we find out that Henry Cavill will not be returning as Superman. Just wanted to write that down. Somehow, at the start of the third quarter, OKC is only down by 12 after being down by 20 plus in the second. Third quarter rolls around. OKC is able to storm back, getting contributions from Giddey, Baze, Dort, and J-Dub alongside SGA. Quarter 4 rolls around. J-Dub running the second unit, handling the ball even more than Josh Giddey at this point. Aaron Wiggins making plays. For the majority of the fourth, Mark Daignault sticks with the lineup of Giddey, J-Dub, Omar Rui, Wiggins, and Isaiah Joe, and it worked. Thunder were able to climb back. SGA comes in with 5 minutes left. The rest of the game is super tight. With 1 minute left, SGA gets fouled. No call. Ends up being Miami ball. SGA sinks 2 free throws after that. Tie game with 25 seconds left. Hero makes an insane mid-range shot to
That
put
was
the Heat up 2.
wild.
Wild shot by Hero.
I mean, Wiggins was
all over
I mean,
him.
he played great defense. Yeah,
He
and
did.
just a phenomenal shot by Hero. Hero just had a
Crazy good game.
fantastic
Crazy
game.
good game.
So I think we have to add Tayler Hero onto the all NBA Thunder Killers.
We do.
Maybe second team, since this has only happened, once so far. But if it happens again, he probably automatically vaulted up into the first team status with the likes of
Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is up there. Thank you. I was trying to think of some names.
Yeah. So the final possession of the game, SGA catches a really tough inbound. So first of all, Giddey throws an inbounds pass to a streaking Lou Dort, nearly gets him with an incredible pass, but Caleb Martin breaks it up. So play resets. SGA catches the ball, gets defense from Caleb Martin and Oladipo, misses it, but Giddey picks up the offensive rebound, puts it back, gets whacked on the putback, no call, game is over. Unfortunate ending to a 2-point game. So now we could break into our personal analysis. Taylor, I've been talking for a while. Let's talk about the Giddey SGA pairing and what you thought about that.
So this is where it gets really, really interesting. So like we could probably spend, like we went to the rest of the podcast, the rest of the post game just on this topic. And what I mean by that is it's such a interesting topic because there's so much to be excited about. Like, okay, so again, like you mentioned, just to start this off, we're going through Shai and Giddey stat line. Shai has 27 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 10 and 20 shooting, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, which honestly still kind of surprised me. I mean, obviously 100% from the free throw line is just fantastic and is a theme from SGA this season, a reason for his ascension into superstar status. But only 6 free throw attempts is shockingly low for Shai this season. But you look at obviously Giddey, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 15 shooting, which I think is the perfect balance there, to your point, and field goal attempts. 1 of 3 from 3. Just like Shai, which is kind of funny. And both of them played 36 minutes. And, to that point, I had, like, if you go back and look at my timeline on Twitter, you would see some contradicting tweets about Giddey. And what I mean by that is he was so impactful in this game, both offensively and defensively. It's one of my favorite games of him, from him this season. And that's the reason that Dino played him the same amount of minutes as SGA. Him and Shai tied for the most minutes for the entire team. But at the same time, I see Giddey having a really good game. And so I see how that took away. And I hate saying it like that, right? But because like there's some positive things to take away from this. Like obviously that the Heat are a good team. They haven't been playing great, but they're a good team. Thunder only lost by 2. So you could say, okay, well, Shai and Giddey both contributed. They both played really well together. They even fed off each other at times. There's a point there in the first quarter where I tweeted about, there was a back-to-back possession on offense where Shai throws the ball to Giddey. I think Giddey cutted. Giddey got a layup. And then Giddey passes to Shai, who gets a mid-range shot. Shai goes over, daps up Giddey, and then spanks him on the butt. Like they're fired up. They're really excited about it, right? So you're thinking like, hell yeah, these two can coexist. And I still think they can. But my point to all this is that there's also like a part of me that's still a little hesitant because when I see Giddey's really good stat line, I see him play so well, I see how that took away from Shai's stat line and how he's been playing recently. And I understand that you can't just use like the Dallas game where he had 42 as an example, but he hasn't scored under 30, for example, many times tonight, right? Many times this season, right? And I think that's a good balance. Like it's not necessarily a bad thing that Shai doesn't hit 30 every night. Like this team isn't going to win if Shai doesn't hit 30, But all of that being said, I think there's still some coexistent issues there. The Thunder are losing when Giddey's doing more and looking great, but that takes away from Shai. So how do you find that perfect balance is kind of what I'm getting at. And I'm really curious your thoughts there as well. Again, I obviously don't have very concise thoughts here.
No, it's all good.
Just kind of rambling a bit, but those are kind of my thoughts as I went through the game tonight. And I'm curious kind of how you felt about them and their stat lines.
It's just really hard. If Giddey cannot shoot, it is at a certain point taken away from SGA, because it's almost like, okay, well, if Giddey is going to be off ball, Shai's probably going to see another defender when he's driving, or if Giddey has the ball, Shai, you just want Shai to have more shot attempts. You want Shai to have more drives. You almost feel like Shai could have had like 36, 38 tonight if he wanted to, maybe more efficiently than he had. It's tough with Giddey not being able to shoot, and that's gonna continue being an issue. That's like the main problem here. Unless Giddey becomes like a catch and shoot player, we're gonna see problems. It's not gonna mesh very well. We need some WD-40 on the cogs. Not looking great.
No, that's a really good point. I totally with you on the shooting, but honestly, this may be a good transition to one of your other themes. And I know we haven't gotten into the game by or you did. I guess you did a game by game breakdown, but this may be a good transition then into one of your themes that I completely agree with, and that Silva, the second unit, has looked much better when J-Dub is actually the initiator on the offensive end of the floor, which, kind of connecting that to your past theme and what you just mentioned, it almost seems to me that Giddey's looking better and like more of that. And we've seen his size, right? He's continued to grow into his size. He's being more aggressive offensively and defensively. But he's almost more of like a playmaking, like forward.
Yeah.
And even to go more specific, like a 4. I mean, obviously you can play him 1 through 4. But because of that, like, I don't know. I just found that J-Dub initiating the offense seemed to be a little more effective there. And I think we're seeing, like, it's not just Shai, when Giddey playing with Shai, it's also occurring with J-Dub in the lineup instead of Shai. Giddey seems to be a little more efficient as like the playmaking forward there in the lineup.
He's almost like a finisher. He's like a play finisher rather than a play creator. Even though we like see him as like a point guard, he's like finishing plays way more. And he can't do that much. His off the dribble game is like barrel his way into the rim, throw like a floater or a hook shot. We're not seeing like the mid range game from him. We're not seeing much. J-Dub can do way more off the dribble right now. And maybe teams are respecting that space in the middle of the floor more. And maybe that's why the offense looks better. I don't know. But J-Dub is awesome.
You bring up a good point. Like we even obviously his rookie season and this season, we talk a lot about Giddey's IQ, his vision. Because of that, he's very good off ball.
Yes, he is.
And not as a catch and shoot shooter or coming off of screens necessarily, but kind of in the, think of like an Andre Robertson. Looking back to the previous iteration of the Thunders, where he's able to find that off ball cutting to the basket and finding those angles to where playmakers like Shai and J-Dub can find them. That's where he has been coexisting with guys like Shai and J-Dub so well in their first and second unit respectively. And so that's something I would really like to see the Thunder continue to capitalize on. But obviously, I also understand, especially this season, like you're kind of running out of seasons to see Josh on ball. And so like how do you find that perfect balance is something I continue to come back at, and something that you brought up here with your main theme, Silva. I'm with you.
I think the Chet coming back not only introduces like a lob threat for Josh, which should help him a lot, but it also introduces another shooter. And I think both of those things can really help him. It's like specifically him, because he can find them when another player might not be able to. And that could really change the way we look. That's the way we could like change the way we look at Josh in that perspective. So
fantastic point, especially like, and sorry, not to continue to harp on this point.
Yeah,
I think that was such a good point, because you look at the starting lineup, Silva, like we talked about, Bazley starts, right?
Yeah,
and
he just
you and I both,
yeah,
Jacob, I mean, the entire podcast, all of Thunder fandom are very torn on Bazley. Mm-hmm. And again, we saw the best and the worst of Bazley tonight. Just great defensive anticipation. Some really good flashes on offense, but also some really bad IQ plays on offense as well.
Yeah.
But regardless, to your point about Chet, Bazley's more of a lob threat on offense.
Yes.
He's a little more of a floor spacer, if you want to call it that. So maybe that kind of corresponds to Giddey having more of a traditional stat line that we saw from him last season, flirting with the triple-double, especially from in the points category.
JRE's not an above-the-rim guy, so that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, Bazley just frustrates me. Like tonight, I could just see that it takes him longer to make a decision than it does the other guys. Like he'll catch the ball, and he's fine with just holding it and standing still for 3 to 4 seconds. And like that just kind of kills a possession.
It absolutely does.
Thunder are all about moving around, and that does not happen as much with Baze out there. He did.
There were times where like I just kept thinking like if this were a forward, just in general, who was capable of attempting an outside 3-point shot, like that shot would have already gone up in the air before the defender even reached him. When I'm watching Bazley, to your point, Silva just hold the ball and wait for the defender to come up on him. And he literally waits until the defender's on him. Then he does his, signature jab step, pump fake move and tries to drive to the rim. To his credit, he's athletic and strong. He's able to sometimes blow by those defenders, but often way too late. And so I'm with you there on Bazley. Sorry, I didn't mean to completely take us down the rabbit hole of Darius Bazley, but I do wonder if there's a correspondence there to your point about Chet and to why Giddey maybe had a better game tonight.
Yeah, Giddey, to me, to address some of the comments we're getting, Giddey is, to me, like an amplifier, and he will make your team better as the team around him gets better. So I'm not out on Giddey by any means. I'm not out on Giddey. A lot. I think it is just tough for a guy that can't like create his own shot easily to excel right now on a team that doesn't have a lot of shooting, because the team doesn't have a lot of shooting. What did the Thunder finish tonight from 3? They were 9 of 24.
And so not only that, I mean, and maybe even another theme. So the Thunder attempted 24 3-point attempts, which very, very low. And I didn't pull this up before the pod. I know off the top of my head, though, that's much lower than the league average attempts from 3.
Do you know how many Miami attempted?
56.
56.
That is more than double what the Thunder took.
Their made threes are the same as the Thunder's attempted threes. That's absurd.
That'll do it.
That will do it. They won the math game, as I saw Joe Musato tweet. They won the math game.
Just # math.
I guess we should talk. So we mentioned Giddey's line, 19, 11, and 7. Really good game from Giddey. Everyone, we still love Josh Giddey.
We do.
J-Dub, 14, 5, and 2. Looked really good. Had a hell of a time guarding Tyler Hero.
Excited about J-Dub. He did. Good point. Good point. He continues to struggle some defensively.
It was just fast.
Something, right. Good point. And something that I thought about throughout the past week. And then Jacob actually, put similar thoughts into our Slack here a couple of nights ago. J-Dub just has he's older for a rookie, but he's still a rookie, right? Like he just has an ultimate frame. 7'2" wingspan. Like this guy's going to be able to put on weight. And when he does, it's going to help him defensively. Like what he's doing as a rookie on both ends of the floor is really exciting. So it's obvious that he's going to have some struggles like he has defensively. But man, so like what we've seen from him, especially like in the second half, feels like he's been the catalyst the past 3-4 games in the second half that's kept brought the Thunder back into games, much less kept them in games. And I just we talked about him like the offense being better off in the second unit when he's the initiator instead of Giddey. Like that's
I really thought that'd be Tre Mann
about.
Also. I thought this season that would be Tre Mann. I thought Tre Mann would be the guy who's like, okay, the offense is stuttering. Who's going to come save us? Who's coming in? Really thought it'd be Tre Mann.
Great transition into one of your points.
Yes. Let's talk about Isaiah Joe and Tre Mann, I guess. Tre Mann only played 5 minutes tonight.
Not great.
Not great. Still just looks like, I mean, Tre Mann's biggest asset is hitting threes, step back threes, just like generating offense quickly. And he has not been doing that. He's not the type of player that can like overperform on defense and make up for not being efficient on offense. So he's not getting minutes. And right now, Isaiah Joe is that guy. It seems like that guy. I'm like, when Isaiah Joe's out there, even if he's not hitting shots, I'm always like, I realize he is a threat. He always feels like a threat. He's always ready to pull the trigger as soon as he gets the ball, even if a guy's hand is in his face. And, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Isaiah Joe is going to keep getting more minutes than Tre Mann, or is this just like a Mark Daigneault one-night special?
Do not think it's a one-night special. I mean, again, these post-game pods, we don't come in with some of the research, the background that the stats that we do heading into the weekly pods. And be completely honest, I probably should do more heading into the weekly pods as well. My point being, I think if we do, we would see that the stats would probably favor Isaiah Joe.
I can give you his minutes right now just in December. December 5th against Atlanta, 10 minutes. December 7th against Memphis, 18 minutes. And then 19 minutes, 20 minutes, 17 minutes for Isaiah Joe.
So obviously the 27 minutes pops a little bit there.
Yeah. Tre Mann, much less. Last 3 games.
Oh, sorry. That was Isaiah Joe.
Tre Mann, 5 minutes tonight, 10 minutes last game. December 10th against Cleveland, 8 minutes. So it's gotten 10 minutes or less 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Joe's going up.
That's poor, especially last season as a rookie. The one big knock on him from Daigneault was essentially his defensive effort. Well, he's bringing that this season. That doesn't mean he's necessarily great on defense, but he's at least bringing the effort with that increased size that he put on the offseason. I almost wonder if that obviously he had a back injury to start the season. I don't know.
He did.
It's either a combination, and maybe it's a combination of both, like the back injury combined with or back discomfort combined with the increased size. Just makes me wonder if he's not quite adjusted his scoring, his hot scoring to either his new size, or maybe he's still a little sore. Whatever it may be, it is not working. And so my point to that, Silva, to answer your question, is you have Isaiah Joe coming in, showing the same effort and being able to provide the same defensive effort as Tre Mann, but much more efficient offensively.
He's longer than Tre Mann too,
which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, the one knock against Tre Mann, I tweeted this out earlier, but Tre Mann cannot hit catch and shoot 3-point shots.
No,
Isaiah Joe can.
Yeah,
and combined with that, Isaiah Joe can also, not to the level maybe that Tre Mann can in regards to creating separation, but he can knock down catch and shoot 3-point shots, and that is huge, especially going back to our original point about Giddey and Shai.
Yeah, a valuable weapon to have out there. Valuable for sure. David actually in our chat brings up a good point. Do you think Tre should go to the G League for a while?
Oh man, like
I don't want to break the man's spirit, by sending him to the G League at this point.
Exactly, that's my thoughts as well.
He's fought so hard to get these minutes. He's just not performing. I don't know.
And there's going to be players like that who fall out of the rotation, and maybe they end up being fantastic players elsewhere.
Yeah.
I made the joke that Darius Bazley was only starting tonight. Again, halfway joke. That Bazley was only starting tonight because maybe the Miami Heat were interested in him. Tre Mann could absolutely be one of those players that goes elsewhere and just absolutely flourishes, or sophomore slump adjustments. He shows up next season or even later this season and performs really well. But it's a good question. Nonetheless, maybe he could use some G League reps. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not Daigneault.
Yeah, I know. Let's run through some more box scores and kind of talk about the performances real quick. Lu Dort, I thought, was really good tonight and efficient. Had 18, 3, and 4 on 6 of 12 shooting. Hit 4 threes. His threes looked good. That should have been 4 out of 6 threes for him. He took one at the end of a shot clock. That was kind of a hot potato ball. So it was basically a 4 out of 6 night from him from 3. I have been a little frustrated with Dort at times this season because of his shot selection, but tonight was not one of those nights.
Could not agree more. I seriously agree with every single thing you said. 50% from the floor, 6 of 12 from the floor, which means he was third most in field goal attempts behind Giddey and Shai. Only took 2 more attempts than J-Dub. Another thing I love, honestly. And like you mentioned, Silva, 4 of 7 from 3, but technically 4 of 6. 2 of 4 from the free throw line. This is when we talk about balance for Lu Dort offensively and the role that he potentially will fit in moving forward over the next season or two with the Thunder when they're adding in players like Chet. J-Dub continues to develop. You're adding in another lottery pick next season. This is what we want to see from Lu. Sometimes, to be completely honest, even less than 12 field goal attempts. I think there are going to be games. And honestly, I hope there are games in the next season or two, where he's only shooting maybe 4 of 8, like 6 of 8.
That's the magic number, like
from the floor. Yeah,
8 or
right,
9
right.
attempts.
But for this team and how they're
Well,
currently constructed, I thought this was a perfect Blue Dort offensive game.
Yeah. Moving on to another guy. Let's throw a negative in there. We were like
Silva.
we were like slightly negative on Josh, but overall positive. This one's just a straight negative for me, and that's Eugene Omarui.
Wasn't great.
Wasn't great. Just looked confused a lot of the times. Back when Kendrick Perkins used to play for the Thunder, my friends and I would call him Stone Hands because he could not ever catch inbound, like interior passes. Eugene had that kind of night tonight, just couldn't catch passes, would always bumble the ball and lose the possession. Just rough showing from him. I get that he had to play for size reasons with JRE being out, but boy, not pretty. And then moving on to another guy.
Yep, I'm back. So
I was just about to hit the segue and just oh, Taylor's audio's gone. Are you muted? It says your mic is not connected.
There we go. We're back.
You're back. Yes. You're
so
good.
sorry about that. My Mac was about to die, so I plugged in my Mac, and in doing so, my mic got disconnected and then reconnected and disconnected. And here we are. We're back.
Do you have any thoughts on Eugene Omarui?
Agree. I that was the weird part. I could still hear you as I was going over and plugging my Mac in. I don't know. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I just kind of refuse to like put him in the negative category this season because he's a two-way player who's like got such great upside. It's just I hate using this term, but it's all gravy with him.
It is
this
gravy.
season, right? So I think we talked about Isaiah Joe. Little concern, or I shouldn't say concern. Sorry, one maybe in the negative category. You mentioned the negatives. Only 3 points, right off 0-5 from the floor. That's not great. No. Combined with Tre Mann, who we already talked about, only 2 points in very, very limited minutes. The other one here, though, Silva, that I have, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. Poku. Only played 8 minutes after not starting with Bazley. I'm not sure if that's more of like the coaching staff, like kind of doing a thing that we've seen, right? Playing certain players over others in certain games. Like, for example, Wiggins got more minutes this game when he's had DNPs consecutive games throughout the season, but not because of his play, more so because they want to see other players get those minutes. So like, is Poku not playing as much this game, more of trying to get Bazley a little more burn, and they thought it was a favorable matchup for Bazley? Or was it because Poku wasn't playing well, right? Like 0 points, 2 rebounds, 0-3 from the floor, and only 8 minutes. Like that's
and he had a really nice block. He had a really nice block on Dwayne Dedman. Like met him at the very top of his dunk attempt and blocked it. That was great. I tweeted the Poku Renaissance continues, and then he doesn't play anymore after that. Like he looked like a fool, Mark Daignault. I don't know why I really don't know why he got benched for that long. Like, I don't know if it's just like a stern, like Mark's being a dad type of thing. Like, no, you're not doing what I told you to do. Sit down. Really weird. Really weird. I know that the Heat are very physical. Like their bigs are very physical. Like Bam, super physical guy who fouled out tonight at the very end of the game. Dwayne Dedman, really physical. Maybe that was the issue, and he wasn't like playing tough enough or something. I don't know.
I'm with you, and also some of this is just like seems like developmental minutes. They aren't. It's not like you can just divide every single player. That's not Shai, Giddey, Dort with okay, J-Dub gets 15 minutes and Poku gets 10 and Bazley gets 8 and Wiggins gets 6, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if this is just a part of kind of that rotation, and maybe we see Bazley start again here on Friday, and then 2 weeks from now we're seeing Poku get those minutes again, and maybe Jane get those minutes. So maybe that's it.
We'll see on Friday. Really curious about Friday. We can go ahead and start looking ahead to the next game. Our player of the game, of course, was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 27 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 10 of 20 from the field. Great game again from our future All-Star, SGA. Looking ahead, next game that I will also be covering is Friday against the T-Wolves. Hopefully the curse does not infect that game as well. We'll see. I don't know. Cat is not back, I don't believe.
Correct.
We're gonna see.
As far as I've seen, he's not.
We talked about a potential Rudy Gobert revenge game, which is just a hilarious thought to me. Seeing Rudy Gobert try and get revenge
against COVID,
I guess. But this game was the start of a 7-game homestand for the Thunder, which is exciting. Maybe they're 11-16 now after tonight's loss, I believe. So maybe they can get closer to 500 again. Are there any other thoughts you wanted to air out before we close out the show?
Not necessarily, as much as I think that final thought you've left us with, Silva, is something that, Nick, I think, did a really good job of talking about in his post game here a couple days ago. Like, this homestand is weirdly, I don't want to say important, it's just really interesting because I think it will kind of help direct the future direction of this team. Like we've heard for this season, we've heard Presley talk about, this team declaring themselves and laughing at that comment. Very good comment from Eamon. Mark Dad. No, very good. Very, very good. But you have this homestand, right, where the Thunder find themselves, like you said, Silva, like close to 500, and they're playing some really good competitive teams through this home stretch. So yes, they're home for a long time, but they're also playing really good teams.
Yeah, they are.
So how they come out of this home stretch, like Nick talked about here last week in one of his post games, I think will tell us a lot about the future of the team. Like, do the Thunder just kind of ride this out and we'll hope for some good lottery odds, or we'll see. But I think you bring up a good point there, Silva, to end the podcast. Any other comments? I know we had some good ones in here, and I feel bad because
thank you guys. A lot of interacting tonight in the comments. Let me see if I missed any. Is Isaiah Joe what we thought Ty Jerome was supposed to be, at least as a shooter? Maybe Isaiah Joe's like a lot more springy of an athlete, which I feel like is kind of why he's getting so many minutes right now. Agreed. People in Golden State love Ty Jerome, by the way, which is kind of cool.
I know he's had some good minutes for him. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. That's probably it. There's some anger earlier in the chat from the non-reviewable call, which I totally understand.
Agreed. Yeah, that was frustrating.
From Eamon has in our chat. Does the Baisley start mean anything other than filling in for JRE? Did you expect either Jay Will or Usman to get called up?
Not Jay Will. Us absolutely will, but I think they want him to have more on-ball minutes, which is why he's getting that time with the Blue. He'll be pulled up. I think we'll see a lot more of him in the latter half of the season, and I think he'll still do really good. Yeah. Right? That's kind of my point. Like, comparing this season to last season, you got guys like Us running the offense and getting more time compared to fill in the blank. A player who's not going to right.
Xavier Simpson or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, for our bet, I cannot stand to see Jay Will be called back up. So let's not.
That's a good point. I forgot about that.
Not talk about that anymore.
I might be in trouble.
All right, let's close this thing out. Tayler, thanks for joining me tonight. Thank you to everyone in our chat, listening in, asking us questions live. Thanks to everybody for listening afterwards. We will see you all on Friday for another postgame for me. The Silver Curse continues. Of course, we have our Sunday show after that. That is all for tonight. Adios, everyone.